Let me unmute myself really quick. Hello. Happy Sunday. I usually started on the Skycam, so when I saw myself, I was a little taken back. Anyway, you're looking out over Centennial Olympic Park. Lots of blue sky out there, and it looks pretty, but soon enough, it's not going to feel quite so pretty out there. It's going to be another very hot day. Now here I am. I'm ready for my introduction now. I'm First Alert Meteorologist Courteney Jacobazzi. We have a lot to talk about in the weather department. We're going to talk about the heat today. The dangerous heat continues on. We're also going to talk about some increased storm chances starting today, which will help get us out of our dangerous heat zone we've been in for the past few days. We also have to check in on the tropics. Doing this at 9:39, so 9:40-ish. So you're going to get some late, or I guess what will eventually be expired information, because we do get a new forecast track and advisory, new discussion, everything from the National Hurricane Center at 10, which I will be putting in the First Alert weather app. So just kind of want to give you what we know right now, and we'll have information constantly coming in through the day on now Tropical Depression 10 that could impact us midweek. So first, let's talk about the heat. You're definitely going to notice that today. We do have a heat advisory through tonight at 8 o'clock. That goes, again, for all of the area with the exception of our mountainous counties, so Towns, Union, Rabun, Fannin County. If you are up in the North Georgia mountains, you're going to be the coolest today. It's still going to be hot, though, with it feeling more like the low to mid-90s up there. Upper 80s at the surface, though, for LJ and Blairsville. 96 for Atlanta after hitting 99 yesterday. We were just shy of 100 degrees yesterday, but it still felt like the triple digits. Low to mid 90s area wide, but again, feeling more like 100 plus, really starting around noon. That will continue through your early dinner hour. It's just going to be a really steamy day today, but thankfully we do have a higher coverage of rain that could help cool us off temporarily. Realistically, in a setup like this, it's just going to make it feel like a sauna out there after it rains. You know how that goes. You get one of those downpours over you, and then all of a sudden the street just starts steaming. It's going to be one of those situations. So we have a front that's starting to kind of settle in across the state, and it's going to stay settled here for a couple of days, which will keep our rain chances elevated, our storm chances elevated, I should say. We'll stay dry through about noon, and then scattered showers and thunderstorms will start to fire up. That will continue through your dinner hour. So if you're headed to the PGA Tour Championship today, if you're headed to the park, you're headed to any of the lakes across the area, the rivers, keep in mind once we head into the early afternoon hours, you're really going to want to pay attention to the skies because you might need to kind of end your day a little early because of the storms. We could have an isolated severe storm today with gusty wind, heavy rain, and lightning. Through the overnight, maybe a few rumbles of thunder, but severe weather shouldn't be ongoing through the overnight. Tomorrow morning, as you're getting your work week started, your school week started, a few showers will be possible, and any showers that form over the next few days will definitely be heavy rain producers. We have a lot of moisture in the air that you're feeling in the form of humidity, and these showers and storms will definitely take advantage of that. Monday afternoon, as the kids are headed home from school, as you're headed home from work a little later in the evening, notice it's going to be pretty stormy, so just prepare for that. If you have any later evening plans, it looks like we could have kind of a band of storms set up tomorrow evening as well. And we do continue our potential for severe weather tomorrow too. Isolated threat, but nonetheless, we are going to have plenty of fuel for these storms to take advantage of. And that cold front essentially adds the extra lifting factor. So not only are we getting the lift from all the heating in the atmosphere, but that front kind of serves as a focal point and a little extra ingredient for an organized severe threat. So something that we'll watch even as we head into Tuesday. That front is really going to stay draped across the southeast, and it could serve us well when it comes to our tropical system we're going to be watching. Could definitely help steer it away from us depending on where this front ultimately sets up. So something we're going to discuss here in just a minute. The threats, again, gusty wind, heavy rain, lightning. The threat tomorrow extends across the area. That's kind of setting up along that front. So again, that front's going to kind of drape itself along I-85, and that will serve as a focal point for showers and storms. So fair game for maybe an isolated severe storm the next couple of afternoons and evenings. Tomorrow, we increase our coverage of rain even more, 70% coverage, 50% for Tuesday. I kept the first alert because if we're going to first alert and give you a heads up for a stormy commute tomorrow, we're going to do it for Tuesday. And it's just going to be a stormy pattern. Now, Wednesday and Thursday, we're more than likely going to put a first alert on Wednesday once we get a better handle on what's happening with the tropics. But either way, we're watching it. So you really need to pay attention to Wednesday as well, as we are going to be watching very carefully what ultimately is going to become Idalia in some way, shape, or form. Right now, forecast to become a hurricane as we head into Monday. Right now, tropical depression, so tropical depression 10. Next advisory comes out in probably about 10 minutes. They're usually good about doing it a little earlier than 10 a.m., but it is slated for 10 a.m. to get some new info on it. Very disorganized. It actually started moving south, and the Hurricane Center in their discussion today was like, we weren't really expecting it to do that. So now we're going to have to change all of our information in our forecast track, and there's a lot of uncertainty because it seems to be shaking up. So there's something crazy. I'm going to talk about this really quick because I'm a nerd about it, and we're going to talk about it. So this storm had two centers of circulation. It was starting to have one kind of on the southern end of where they were originally thinking its circulation was. So that was kind of the southerly motion. They're like, wait a second, there's kind of another center to the south there. Well, eventually the storm is going to become strong enough, and one of those circulations is going to get stronger. It's going to take over the other to become one. There's a really fancy word for it. Go impress your friends with it. It's called the Fujiwara effect. Yes, I know, crazy long word. It probably scares people and intimidates them when you talk about it. But if you do, you're going to sound smart. That's what's going to happen with this storm. So it has two centers of circulation. It's been kind of trying to get itself organized, but eventually one of those is going to take over, and ultimately the storm is going to strengthen as it moves into the Gulf of Mexico by Monday afternoon. Forecast right now to become Tropical Storm Idalia as we head into potentially tomorrow night, but definitely by Monday. And then as we head into Wednesday, the overnight hours, so through the day Tuesday, this storm is going to ignite in the Gulf. The Gulf is extremely warm right now. The ingredients are prime for tropical development in the Gulf. So it is expected to become a Category 1 hurricane with winds sustained at 90 miles per hour as it approaches the Big Bend of Florida. Now, important to note, cone of uncertainty, it's called that for a reason. This storm could make landfall anywhere from Tampa all the way out to Destin. So models are indicating not the widest spread I've ever seen, but definitely indicating some uncertainty here. And that's typical when you have a disorganized structure of a storm, also typical when you're several days out. But notice that cone does extend into parts of North Georgia. So a lot of the models are keeping this moving through either Jacksonville, like Valdosta and Waycross, Georgia. So a lot of the models are keeping this south of here, but that doesn't mean we won't have impacts. When you have a storm a couple hundred miles to the south, you're going to still get impacts, especially a storm of this strength. So more than likely right now we're going to be dealing with wind and some rain. So as that storm kind of makes its way inland, we'll probably get some of the outer bands of that. We might get some of the rain from that outer rain shield of the storm. That's what we'll be watching for. But how much rain we're going to receive, how windy it's going to be, and if we'll have any severe weather. Right now, looking at the severe weather threat, it's definitely diminished as models have kind of shifted a little bit more towards the south. But nonetheless, we'll still watch for it, especially for communities south and east of Atlanta. That's where I think we'll be most focused, of course, as this kind of makes its way inland. But again, it could, notice that far left line of that cone pretty much goes right through Atlanta, so that's still a possibility, something we're going to be watching for. But again, the time frame for us, notice Wednesday and then 2 a.m. on Thursday, it'll be in the Carolinas potentially. So we'll really be looking for the bulk of activity Wednesday night. Let's take you to the models. So you're probably looking at this and going, what in the world is this? So this is a pressure. Orange is the GFS. Green is the Euro. Notice those lines becoming tighter together. That indicates the storm strengthening very rapidly as it makes its way through. You're going to notice the cloud cover first, especially Tuesday night into Wednesday. It'll be pretty cloudy and overcast. The GFS is very strong as it moves inland, and they are in line up to this point, making landfall kind of in Panama City area Wednesday afternoon potentially. But then they kind of start to spread apart a little bit, but really the GFS and Euro are starting to come in line a lot better than they were yesterday, keeping the storm to our south, but nonetheless, we would still have some sort of lingering impact from this system, even if it did move to our south. So we'll have some sort of impact, whether it's more than likely not going to be direct, but something we're still going to watch for. We'll probably have more so secondary impacts of the outer rain bands. Again, that could lead to some localized flooding with all the rain that we're already going to receive the next couple of days. And it'll also probably be pretty breezy and cloudy. So something we'll be watching for. I'm going to give you kind of just a general overview of what the models are thinking. Storm further south with the Euro, just slightly. We're not going to have any kind of flooding risk. The Euro kind of thinks we'll pick up anywhere between 3/4 of an inch to 1.5 inches of rain through Thursday. It'll also be breezy still. Regardless, it's more than likely going to be breezy. And then the GFS has a greater impact. That increases our flooding threat, increases our wind gust value, our sustained wind value. So the GFS a little more bullish with our impacts. But nonetheless, there's still some fine tuning to be done. Again, this storm's still very disorganized until it gets that organized center. I always like to say, when you don't really know where the starting line is, how are you supposed to know how to get to the finish line, right? So once we learn where the starting line is, once that storm becomes more organized, has that organized center of circulation, which should be in the coming hours, if not day, we'll start to get a better idea. But for now, Wednesday's the day that we're watching for maybe some potential impacts from what will eventually be Idalia. In the meantime, we're talking about the heat. It's going to feel like the triple digits this afternoon, 50% coverage of showers and storms this evening, maybe an isolated severe storm. That front that brings us the rain today will stay put through really Wednesday, which that's the steering factor. If that front stays over us, it's going to prevent that storm from going further north. That storm's going to kind of ride along that front. So that's why models are keeping it a little further south, because that front's kind of blocking it from coming our way in North Georgia. But again, still something to watch. If that front shifts a little further north, the storm will ultimately shift a little further north. So something we have to watch for in the coming days. But nonetheless, it's going to bring us rain Monday and Tuesday. So expect a messy evening commute. It's going to be pretty stormy for the evening commute tomorrow and Tuesday. And then as we head into Wednesday, that's the day we're watching the tropics. More than likely going to put a first alert on that, especially as we get more data in. And then Thursday, a few showers will be possible as the storm kind of rolls along the coast, mainly east of the city. That rain chance could go up, could go down, depending on where the storm goes. Friday, upper 80s and mostly sunny. Friday will actually probably be very pleasant. Behind these storms, sometimes you can get some drier air to move in, so that's possible. And then Saturday, it'll be hot, it'll be humid, with a 20% coverage of rain. So mainly dry as we head into next weekend. With some nicer mornings, we won't be near 80, we'll be near 70 come Friday and Saturday. Alrighty, let's see. You said, I have a comment on YouTube. Courtney, thanks for the updates. Now you won't waste time watering your garden. You're welcome. I tried to start a butterfly garden with some flowers, and I will tell you those flowers got soldered. Absolutely soldered. So maybe the rain will bring them back to life. At least I hope so. Good morning. Thank you so much for spending some time with us. Again, in the next few minutes, we should get a new update from the National Hurricane Center. So I'll work on that for you to have that in our First Alert weather app. That'll be a great tool to have as we continue to track the tropics this week. Also, of course, it'll be a great tool to have if you're doing anything outdoors today. If storms start popping up in your area, that app will let you know. So great tool to have all around. I hope everyone makes it a wonderful Sunday. Stay cool, stay dry with the rain on the way, and we'll catch you here next time.